Great. Public comment period. We have a few different users and names that I don't recognize. If anyone has anything they'd like to talk about, now is the public comment period. Otherwise, you can also, talk to us during the specific agenda items as well, of course.
My name is Christine. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say CL, Christine. Thank you.
CL. Yes. I am here specifically for the Bristol Trail Network conversation. So I don't know if you'd like me to hold. Is Porter going to be joining for an update?
I don't think this week. No. But we just sort of keep on the agenda. She was here last month and talked about it at length. But there isn't going to be any, I think there's more of an any updates kind of a thing this time. So we can just talk about that a couple minutes though, if you want. That would be fine.
Talk about what we would like to discuss?
Yeah, we'll wait and we'll talk about that with the Trail Network stuff. That'd be fine. Unless you don't want to wait.
I don't mind waiting.
We're I don't know. Any other public comments? Okay.
My name is Linda Schiller Cormany, and I'm here as well with Christine Lathrop to talk about the trail.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, that's great. That's great. Unexpected and awesome. Thank you. People seldom come, so we don't know how to deal with it. Perfect. Any additional items for the agenda? Perfect. So none. Review and approve minutes from January 13th. Has anyone read those and would like to make a motion? Zayla, I can't hear you, but I see your mouth moving.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to do that, right?
I don't even know.
Yeah, you're not allowed.
I'll follow up with Kristen and second it.
Great. All those in favor? Okay,
Aye.
the motion carries. The minutes are approved as submitted. Correspondence. Did I receive any correspondence of note? Just that one email about the Johnson performance. But we're gonna talk about that later. That wasn't an important correspondence. Okay, and then old business. So normal business, I suppose.
Why didn't you take off?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Speak.
Whoever is the user, did you have a comment?
No, not yet.
Great. Okay, great. So make sure. Zoom makes it so awkward. I'm sorry.
This is Jim and Brenda. We're here with supporting with Christine. We're also landowners.
Awesome.
Pertaining to what the subject's going to be about the trail.
That's awesome. We will say one more thing and say no updates, and then we'll do that. That'll be awesome. Thank you for your patience. Conservation Commission membership. Unless someone who's here would like to join. Anyone? Okay, then we have no updates on that. You can't blame me for trying. Okay, now Bristol Trail Network. We just sort of had this here this month as a sort of a placeholder because we always talk a little bit about the trail, any updates that are happening. Porter was here a month ago and she gave us quite a few updates. And so, I could actually try to contact her quickly, see if she'll pick up if we want to see if she wants to join. But otherwise, does anyone have any updates on the trail? Oh, shoot.
Who are the other two people here to talk about the trail network? I have Linda's name, but I don't know who CL and user are.
Christine Lathrop.
Go ahead.
Okay, I got Christine Lathrop.
Amos Martin.
Jim Leno and Brenda Myrick.
Zaylee, did you get the names? Okay.
Yeah, I missed AM's name.
Amos Martin.
What was the last name?
Martin. Martin.
And it was Jim Leno and Brenda
Myrick.
Great. And this is the largest turnout we've ever had for any issue. So this is exciting.
Well, it could be bigger, but this is all showing up right now.
So Porter came last month. She comes in and out of the meetings, every few months and gives us updates. And then usually we just sort of have this here as, are there any updates? In winter, there usually aren't many. So I wasn't expecting any excitement about this. So I'm excited to hear what's going on.
Well, maybe before I jump into it, were there updates outside of what was in the meeting minutes? So I don't want to go into this if things are changing based off what her last update was.
I haven't heard anything about, no, I haven't, if anyone else has. Okay, great. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So just to give a little background, those of us that are here are all adjoining landowners to the proposed extension of the old dump trail. And we had written a letter to the Bristol Rec Club Board of Directors about some concerns, quite a few concerns actually, that we have about this. And I have not received any confirmation yet about meeting, but we did want to discuss with them the concerns in person. In the meantime, we did see this on your agenda on Front Porch Forum. So we were also concerned. So we wanted to chime in and see what was going on and fill you in on where we're at.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. There's those trails going in all over. There's no specific, we mostly just listen to what Porter tells us about. We sometimes will help her maybe write a grant to put benches in or something. But we don't have a lot of control over it, but I mean, of course we'd love to talk to you and hear your concerns and see what's going on.
Okay. And I was unsure of what the connection was with everything. It seems like all these little committees are so intertwined.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell who does what. So
absolutely.
We'll give you a little background just so you guys are aware. So I will read you the letter that has more concerns other than the conservation related issue that you guys are probably concerned about. But as a Plank Road community, we're very concerned about those, as well as what it means for the future of protected wetlands and what the future may hold for other trail development and decision making. So we have not been privy to the planning and development of this trail. And while there has been some outreach to the public, the adjoining landowners, and there's more than just that's present tonight, we're not invited to participate in the planning of trail development that abuts the wetlands behind all of our properties. So I can just jump right into the letter if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So again, addressed to the Bristol Rec Club Board of Directors. And it states, as it has come to our attention that the Bristol Trail Network has completed part of a new trail that extends from the old dump trail to the northeast, and when finished will end on Plank Road. None of the adjoining landowners whose property is affected by this new trail were contacted. In a village of good neighbors, this courtesy was surprisingly overlooked. In Bristol, we have a culture of open, honest communication and collaboration. This recent plan in trail development shows a lack of consideration for those landowners who take pride in their land and choose to live on land that offers privacy. We, the adjoining property owners, believe this new trail as cited must be reconsidered. Our concerns include the following: the proximity of the trail borders several of the property owners' land dwellings and creates a severe lack of privacy. This could result in loss of property value. The entrance and exit onto Plank Road is a wetland and was protected by a state mandated fence so that the adjoining tenants would not be walking through it. This trail would severely negatively impact the only remaining natural habitat denning and nesting in Bristol Village. The current trail system is mainly on town-owned land and does not affect private property landowners. This newly created trail is on private property and does negatively affect private landowners. We question whether the people who donate to the Bristol Trail Network know how this proposed trail is a serious concern to the adjoining property owners and has been planned and developed without the courtesy of contacting the affected landowners. We are concerned that the road access is located in a very unsafe section of Plank Road. There's no shoulder, streetlights, or sidewalk, and can potentially create harm to those using the trail. The following landowners have adjoining properties and strongly oppose this proposed trail extension. And then we all signed. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 landowners. So probably not what you were expecting with all of us joining.
No, not at all. No, it's fine. Yeah, Kristen, I see you unmuted. Did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And would it be possible for you to send a copy of the letter to the commission so that we have a copy of the written letter as well?
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that.
And I also noticed that another party joined, at least one other party joined 566093 in case we need to capture that for the minutes.
Yeah, that'd be great if whoever is 566093 wouldn't mind sharing their name.
They have to unmute. They might not know that.
I sent a request to unmute, but we'll see if we can get through.
Okay.
So have these, I guess the members, the letter signers present, have you talked to Porter Knight?
So
Wait.
I can,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Linda.
Not yet. The letter was sent, and Christine, you can probably come up with the timeline. It just recently to the attention of the rec club committee.
Mhm.
And so this was the next step, I guess, when we saw
Sure.
that this
Was that
meeting
a,
was happening.
oh, I'm so sorry, Linda. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Was that a paper letter or was it an email? Because I just worry that, like, because Holly Hall hours are different and COVID, I mean, I don't get the paper mail for BCC like ever. So I was wondering if maybe they haven't seen it because it's in a mailbox somewhere because things are just so weird right now. Or did you email that to someone? And if so, maybe we could have a copy and then I could send it to the appropriate people if you'd like.
So this is Christine again, and I
Yeah.
did send it to via email. So
Okay.
it was a paper signed version that was scanned and sent to them.
Perfect.
And I sent it to the president, so Troy Parody.
Mhm.
And we did have a little correspondence about, that I really would like to discuss this. He carbon copied Porter in on that, and I have not heard anything since. And that was a few days ago.
Okay. I know she's usually very on top of things. She's been traveling recently, so maybe she didn't see that, but it's unlike her not to respond immediately. So I'm glad that you got that to her and we'll help make sure that she gets that as well. Because she's so the way it works is there's a rec department at Bristol, but there's also the rec club, which is a private
That's-
organization that owns all that property, right, by the club. And so this Bristol Trail Network is a project of the Bristol Rec Club. And so, it's something that they've been working on. And, I, in other instances, have been working a lot with landowners and doing a lot of chatting and being really cognizant of this. So I don't know exactly what's happening in this case. But this has been a typical response, I would say, compared to what we've seen in other sections of the trail. So maybe there's like some communication that just needs to happen. And so we can all make sure everyone's on the same board. Because I know community engagement's been a really big push for them thus far. And they've really been really respectful of landowners' wishes. And I just think maybe we just need to get everyone together and maybe we can sort of see what's going on here with this. But I don't think that anyone's gonna, no one wants to burn any bridges and hurt any community. I don't know. No one wants to hurt the community relations. Everyone's been trying to be really positive about this. So I'm sure we can figure this out.
You have no idea how much relief what you just said brings me. There have been a lot of sleepless nights for me about this.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I don't think that is the spirit of this project at all. And it's been all the places I know of, I think have had easements and, communication with the landowners and apple pies and cleanup crews and positivity. And so if that's not the case here, then I don't think anyone wants to force anything on your property or anything. I'm not in charge of the project, but that's my understanding of what's the
So
good
one
nature of it.
one thing that's a little different is that the people on Plank Road are not the landowners. So it's not that this trail is being carved through our land. Okay.
Hmm.
So that's a point that needs to be understood.
I see.
But-
Okay.
In Christine and Amos's case, and also in Jim and Brenda's case, the trail abuts their land. Like you could walk a foot and be on the trail from their land.
Interesting.
Got it.
Okay. So these people were not involved in any of the planning. My property sits a little bit back, so I'm not quite as affected by it, but we are here because we are really concerned about the conservation of the land that would be basically walked on and near, open to the public in a section of Bristol that it never was before. And that
I see.
happened because this was land that was owned by Terry Thomas for years and years. He passed away. The land was sold. The new owners were contacted by the rec club about putting a trail on their land. So it's the first time that this trail is going on private land versus public land. Okay, so these landowners said, oh yeah, this is a great idea. More trails, mountain bike riders, and yeah, this is great. And we all feel the same way too. If it wasn't in the location that it's in, for two reasons. One being the impact on habitat and the wetlands, and the other, privacy. And we're not here to talk about the privacy. We're here to talk about, the infringement on the wetlands and the habitat and the specific area, and also safety. That area of Plank Road where it's going to come out is really, really not a good place.
Because of the
walk it.
cars, you mean?
Right. We walk it every day. And there is no shoulder. There is a curve. There is just not, it's steep. It would be steep going up. But again, we're here to talk about the things, how this impacts what your committee is all about. So that's the background.
Okay, good. I was worried that someone was putting trail on property that they didn't ask about. And I'm like, that is not happening. Okay.
No, I wanted to clarify that.
Okay, good. I'm like, that
Right.
didn't sound like very much. Yeah, like we're not trying
Right.
to steal.
The other
Okay,
thing
good.
that I think should be noted is that I really believe that this was done with good intention, and maybe some steps were missed. So in good intention in that, let's extend the trail network in Bristol and create opportunities for residents and visitors to enjoy the beautiful land of Bristol, to hike, mountain bike, cross-country ski. I think the piece that's missing here is including everyone who is affected by it, not just the landowners, not just the select board or the decision makers, but including everyone who is impacted by this new trail, which, by the way, has been developed and is utilized now up to a certain point. The last part through the wetlands has not been developed yet. But I would
Yeah.
say 3/4 of the trail is done. I've walked it several times.
If I could touch base on that, Amos Martin, a little bit about the unfinished portion of the trail.
Great, Amos.
So when we were first made aware of this, we saw them actually blazing the trail. That's how we come to find out about the trail network going in behind our place. So when we found this out, us being old Bristolites, were privy to information that there was no right of way between Megan's Mountain View, Stanley Livingston's property, and Christine's property. So on November, a day in November after we were made aware, the 18th, we obtained copies by making an appointment to the vault to gather some deeds, Terry's deed, our deed, Christine's, Stanley's. And the reason why the trail hasn't been completed yet is the new property owners are awaiting a property survey, because in their deed, nowhere in their deed says that their land connects to Plank Road. There is no there is no right of way from the new property owners, Terry Thomas's old property, to Plank Road. It goes in the deed. It's written that it goes to the old Robinsons, which is now Megan's Mountain View, in a line of approximately 1,519 feet, which that would bring from the easternly corner of their property all the way to the backside of the Cormany property in a straight line. It does not adjust out anywhere to Plank Road. So that's why that's not finished yet. And that's my opinion.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Well, this seems like a problem, and I had no idea this is happening. And this is happening since November, even worrying about this. I was not aware of that. I'm so sorry you've been dealing with this. What would you like to see have that's actionable? Like, do you have a leader that I could work with in email? Or maybe a contact person that maybe I could help get the ball rolling, so you could help contact this the rec club people, or I'm wondering what you would like to see that's actionable. Like, what can we have as like a deliverable from this conversation?
Well, I will also I'd like to chime in just a little bit more on the backstory with Amos, just so you have the full picture. That when I was outside and saw people in what I thought was our lawn, Amos immediately had a conversation with Porter, and we at Thanksgiving weekend had actually gone over and spoke to the current property owners, and were told that the whole thing was kind of on hold until this survey. So again, we've been chomping at the bit. I've been maintaining that half of that piece of property like it was my own, because I was always under the impression that where there used to be a fence line, that was mine. So now all of a sudden there's way more question. So not only is it just the trail, it's who owns that piece of property.
Right. There's like a property line dispute as well then.
Yes, to make it even uglier. So, that's has nothing to do with you guys, but that again, the trail literally stops in our yard before it's going to turn into what I always thought was our yard. So, so you're aware, the current property owners are aware of all of this. I've been corresponding with them. I did let them know that there was a letter to the board of directors. They've been pretty hands off and just want to wait for a survey. So it's their piece of property. We can't tell them what to do with it. My ultimate goal, and I can only speak for myself, I can also speak for Stanley Livingston because he told me that he would like me to chime in on his behalf. Because they are going to be splitting in between our two properties, we absolutely do not want this to happen. So whatever has to happen to make that not happen, we are prepared to do. And I don't want to do that. And I don't know most of you.
Yeah.
I do know some people. I don't like conflict, so this is very difficult for me. But feel very strongly about it. This is literally the house I've lived in my whole life. So my ultimate goal would be whatever we can do to stop this from continuing.
Yeah. Amos Martin again. Can I chime in?
Sure.
Thank you. So the proposed trail, all that I know is that it runs along our property lines to Jim's. Again, the new property owners own it. So I only walk to Jim's because we have that rapport with each other as neighbors to check things out. I didn't go any farther to see which directions and where the flagging went because again, it's not our property. So my main question is from the old dump trail, does this make a loop around the new properties owners dwelling so they can see everybody walk by their property? That's a question that we had. I wish Porter was here to answer all this because it's just one of those points that if it doesn't go by the new property owner's house, why is it going by anybody else's house?
Yeah, I understand that's frustrating. And as far as we've been concerned or seen maps of so far, I think we were just told that it was this property owner said they have property and we're like, okay, it's private property. They can do what they want with it. So we didn't know there were edges involved here. Kristen, what was that you were trying to say?
I just noted that Linda's trying to say something. Go ahead, Linda.
Thank you. So to answer your question, I think what we'd love the committee to do is to explore, especially once the survey is done, to really look at the impact on the wetlands and habitat, because that's more in your lane, so to speak. We will definitely be meeting with the rec club and Porter to try to have a discussion about this. In a perfect world, what I would like to see happen is I would like to see a few more proposals come up for trail creation or recreation before anything continues in the current trail that has already been created. I would also like to see the current trail that goes very close to Jim, Brenda, Amos, and Christine's property redirected so that it's not as close to their property line. But that's, again, not in your lane. What's in your lane is how it affects any further development impacting on the wetlands and the habitat, to just make sure that we are preserving, the only or one of the only areas left in Bristol town that enjoys that habitat and wildlife. So again, in a perfect world, redirect the part of the trail that's already been created and look at proposals that we can make sure feel safe and private and secure for wetlands and for adjoining property owners.
Thank you.
Can I ask, I think it was you, Linda, maybe it was Christine, that mentioned denning habitat in this particular location. And are there some reports that you could provide to us that would help us to better understand that?
I don't have that information. Christine, I don't know if you do.
So I don't have information. I mean, the dens are, again, on what we thought was our property. So the only information we have is the actual wildlife and the photos that we've seen from those. So we've
Okay, I see.
just now have tracks all over our yard from some sort of critter.
Yep.
But we've had foxes, the pups, bears, deer, turkeys, like so much wildlife this last few years that we've never seen before.
Coyotes?
Coyotes.
Yeah,
Amos, was that a bobcat we saw?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
That was a
Sounds like
few
you had a
years.
trail cam. That'd be fun to get some of those
Yeah.
recorded.
That's how we catch them. Yes.
Yeah, cool.
So we
This
have
is Jim.
photos.
This is Jim chiming in too. I also would like to reiterate about the wildlife. It's it's incredible how much wildlife is happening back there. And my experience is when you start running people, and especially the dogs, through an area, that just is erased. It's gone. I don't know if some of you must walk in the watershed. So, you rarely ever see a deer track, a fox track. It just wipes it out. And it is really, the last little vestige of wild habitat, and it's virtually in the village, it's very precious. There's a lot of wildlife that comes across Plank Road and works its way through there and back out. I don't know if you're aware, but across the street from where we are and Christine and Amos, there's the Lake Winona Preserve area, which is that big field. And the coyotes come through there every night, and things travel back and forth. And the deer and the peregrine falcons also come from when they stop nesting. They come and they spend a good month in our woods back here. So it's very diverse and surprising for such a small little area. And once again, okay, is it people first, or once again, and animals can just like suck it up and go somewhere else? I think it's time to stop doing that personally. I do think if the trail was rerouted to the south edge of what I would call the drainage, there's basically slope coming from both sides of that property, and there is like a drainage line there. On that south side, it seems to be less active, I would say. Also, if a trail did go there, which I'm still would rather not see any trail in there because of the wildlife, it's not visible from any of our properties, and it's also not visible from the properties on that side of the streets because it's so steep. So if it was down, near the bottom there, nobody would see it. However, it's still, the wildlife would be impinged. So, and it's all moot if it's, they don't own that property. Nobody owns that property technically that exits and onto Plank Road. There's nobody that can give permission for that to happen. So obviously we'll have to wait for this piece of it. But I think, the wildlife piece is so very important. And I hope you will, consider that and put that in your pipe and smoke it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And I don't want to dominate the conversation. I guess I just have maybe one final question on, do you guys know why this extension is so important? Like, what is popping up onto Plank Road? What is that going to do?
My recollection, this is John Chapin speaking. If I remember way back, I could be mistaken, isn't there was the watershed area that's heading west from Plank Road? What's the name of that area?
Are you talking about the
Winona
water
recreation area? It's not contiguous.
There's too many people speaking at once. Could one person speak?
I'll speak to that, Jim Leno. That is not contiguous property. What is called the Winona Recreation Area is basically the field you see when you're traveling to the north on Plank Road. If you're traveling west on Plank Road from the village, that field that you see, the big field that goes all the way back towards Champlain Valley, heating, and all those buildings, that field is basically it. The hill is owned by Louise Bryn behind that. So none of it connects to any of the watershed property or land. It's completely isolated.
So the watershed property I've never visited it. I don't know what the acreage is. I don't know how far it is from this sort of.
Yes, I know exactly the property you mean. And that is off of kind of off Hardscrabble and off that way. So you're talking
that
about
sounds
really
familiar.
Yeah, that is what is like, that does run in, and that is contiguous, but that is very, a huge amount of space between that, that has nothing to do with this. Yeah.
Yeah, my recollection is that I think that was the idea of the spur trail, and I don't remember where and what thread. I'm not saying it was even related to one of the Bristol Conservation Committee meetings, and I don't speak for the Conservation Commission in this capacity. Sure. It's just, I thought that I recalled at some point the idea was to have a spur trail connect with that watershed property, but I could be mistaken. I
heard about that. I heard about that as well. Yeah. But that is a separate piece. It's A. Johnson land. It's all A. Johnson mainly it's all A. Johnson Lumber Company that is contiguous in that area. That is, and there are, obviously logging roads, and I heard that there was talk that they wanted to continue to that. There's also, you can go from North Street Extension. There's a way you can go all the way up that way, up, and that hooks into the watershed as well. But that is completely separate from this. There's no way you could ever have any connection from Plank Road to that. It's miles and miles away.
Yeah, I wish we had a map of the areas that you guys are all talking about, because the watershed center is on Plank Road. So it sounds as though it's
that's really far though.
Yeah.
I think that really the goal, my recollection was just the idea that wouldn't it be spectacular if we could get people from town who were watching a soccer game or something to be able to walk or bike to the pond and back again and sort of see some of the village and sort of, do a little bit of like a TAM, there's no trail around Bristol, because if it just doesn't become a loop, well, then that's fine, right? But so I think that's sort of the idea. Wouldn't it be great if we could make it all the way out to the pond? That's what I've heard Porter say in the past, is that would be a goal, but it doesn't have to be either. There's all sorts of other gems and spurs and just whatever people want to do, I think. And if this isn't something that makes sense, then, for a lot of reasons, and I don't foresee, that being forced on anyone, but it's not my project. I don't know, I'm not in charge of that. So, but that seems like that wouldn't be, as I said, part of that sort of goodwill of that we've seen so far from this.
Originally, this trail was going to continue on, I don't know what it's called, but the old railroad road by the dump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know the name of it, but that abuts my property and probably some of the others, but the trail was going to go all the way to Burpee Road, but the landowner did not want that to happen. And so new ideas came up. Yeah. Which included this.
Totally. Yeah. Well, thank you for voicing your concerns to us. We can follow up on the wetland concerns that you had, and then make sure to help, if you wanted to help you get in contact with Porter and the Rec Club that are spearheading this project. If someone wants to be able to contact me. I'm what's my email I use? The Carolyn Dash at gmail.edu as the chair of the Conservation Commission. I can put that in the chat as well, if that's helpful. Oopsies.
At gmail.edu.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, come.
Oh, I was
That's why
like,
I'm gonna type it, because you
That's
can't
a new
just
one.
anything I say. Yeah.
so it's the same
I'm
one
also
that
a
you've got.
professor, and so I say the wrong thing with them.
Is it the
Too
one that
many
you
email
use for
accounts.
Front Porch Forum?
There we go. The Carolyn Dash at gmail.com. And
Okay.
so if you just let me know if you have concerns, I can try to shoot those in the right direction. We I don't think we wield a lot of power on this commission, but we're happy to help and help make sure we just have those lines of communication open and that your voice is getting heard by the people that can help with that. And then we can also follow up and pull out a map, figure out where the wetland is, work with some different various entities or conservation that we know in the state or the local region, and try to figure out if there's any kind of protected considerations for that property, right? But like BioFinder and stuff, right? It's a great resource. We can do that.
Yeah, we can do a little.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming to speak to
bringing
us.
this up. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, we had no idea. I'm so sorry you've been dealing with this for so long. We didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Well, no need to apologize, but I certainly do feel much better about having this discussion and very much appreciate you letting us talk about it and your support of us. And I will definitely get the letter over to you, Carolyn.
That'd be great.
And then, we can just kind of communicate. And I have said that I would communicate with the rest of the property owners. So if the two of us can be point for everyone else, I think that would be great.
Yeah, please. Yeah. .com.
I got it. Thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Thank you for
Appreciate
taking the
it.
time to visit. And then 566093, do you even know who you are? If you did not tell us your name yet, could you tell us your name? Anyone? It could be you. Well, we tried. All right. Sorry, Zaylee. The minutes will be slightly incomplete. It's Zoom. What are you going to do?
Is that me by any chance?
Oh, no. We see you as Alex.
No, we can see
Okay.
Alex.
This is a little bit of adventure figuring this out.
Yeah.
You just muted yourself.
Okay, thanks. Thanks again. Thanks for your
Thank you.
time. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Do we want to move on to parks updates? And then we have a park update. Alex, other Alex, Rec Alex, do you have an update on parks at all?
Nothing major. This is probably the slowest time for parks usage. So a lot of stuff is just really minor. So yeah, the only thing of really of note is that we're planning to make some needed repairs to the playground structure on the town green coming up in April. And also this every couple of years we have to get new wood chips put in to the playground area. So that's something else that we're going to plan on doing probably in April or May. Other than that, yeah.
As a citizen,
yeah.
Can we get a bigger rock to play on? Wouldn't that be great? I would love to get a bigger rock there. We're like always the town playgrounds and parks. And that rock is so tiny. I would love it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we can talk sometime.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's a good, we overall it's unless we're out there on a busy day or there's some sort of event, we sometimes don't get a whole lot of feedback on the town playground. So any feedback is awesome and welcome.
It helps that there's 3 2-year-olds and like parents of 2-year-olds.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah,
four.
no, this is a great
Well,
focus
included
group.
Alex and I as separate people.
That's right. We've got pre-K represented here.
Yeah.
Well, that
can
rock
give
is so
feedback.
small. Oh, and did you see part of the railing is rotting, and then someone had to like rip a chunk off of it so it wouldn't impale people?
Yeah, that's one of those needed repairs that's going to happen.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just something that's on the radar. So hopefully we'll be able to do that really quickly. The original carpenter who worked on it is going to do those repairs and has saved some of the original timber, basically. So
Cool.
yeah, we're fingers crossed that it's going to look really good. But yeah, and then otherwise, everything else is pretty much the same. Very sporadic use in the parks. A lot of the areas with this last big snow kind of just get flattened as people spin around and turn and stuff like that. So we don't see a whole lot of use in places like Eagle Park or Memorial Park or Sycamore, especially with the big driveway and the big parking lot. But yeah, so just like minor stuff, and yeah, those town green playground plants.
Okay, great. Any other comments on parks? Updating thoughts on parks? Okay. Illegal dumping sites? Probably not with the snow.
Oh, am I muted? Yes, I'm unmuted. Yeah, only a good update in that Zayla and I went and skied into the Gilmore Road site the other day, which has been the most recent major offender in the illegal dumping department. And the woman that's been cleaning that up has clearly continued to do so and got rid of the mattresses that were burned out there last time I was there. So I don't know if we have a award for citizen doing thankless work that's much appreciated, but she has earned it.
Wow. Do you know who it is then?
Yeah, I ran into her. I actually don't know her name. I know where she lives, but I ran into her when I was coming out of that same road turkey hunting a little while ago. No, she walks over
That's
from her
awesome.
house and cleans up every couple weeks. And yeah, I don't know how she got those mattresses out of there, but they're gone.
Wow. Cool. That's wonderful.
Maybe we could spend our operating budget on awards for citizens doing thankless work.
Yeah.
Like
That's right.
a plaque or something.
Right.
A whole roll of garbage bags.
Thanks for thankless work plaque.
Yeah.
Well, we've got about $250, so we have to spend it. I mean, it's not a lot, but we do have to remember to spend it. So thank you for that reminder. Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Alex. That's great.
Mhm.
It's good news. It's good. Okay, website. I'm going to have to add the annual report on there. I noticed today that wasn't updated, so I'll do that this month. That's all I got there, though. Edith Stock Trust updates on apples. Sorry.
Still nothing. No, yeah,
Okay.
and I'm wondering if maybe it's, yeah. Well, we'll see. It could come time when it's time for us to decide what steps we want to take forward with, like, do we want to hire someone different? Do we want to go about it ourselves and figure out something that's really easy to like make trimming then once the spring part of the work week? Or like, I don't know. So,
I got a lopper for my birthday, so.
well, there you go. Yeah, we've got
I don't know how to use it yet, but.
yeah. Yeah, because I mean, one thing to consider is a tree service is probably going to want to treat them a little bit to keep bugs out of the apples. And that makes them a lot more edible. But do we want that if it's for conservation of birds? And I don't know. So that's something that maybe we should discuss at some point. It'd be nice if I could like figure out what he had been doing, but
Jono.
maybe I will.
Jono, you said that you have apples and that you were like, we should go do it. Wasn't that something you said should be done in like March or something? Because then we need to like act. It's by the time we see you again, it'll be March, right? So what do you think about this apple thing?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, typically this is the month, if not maybe late January, where orchardists go in and do their pruning of they're called water spouts. That's sort of, think of it maybe analogous to a sucker on a tomato plant. It just takes extra energy away from the plant, helpful for the plant, but less so about generating fruit. So if your goal is to have apples, then you want to prune those suckers, or they're called water spouts, and then leave the spurs, those branches. That's where the fruit ends up. I haven't taken a close look at those trees. I think the number of the trees was in the teens. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess,
So-
yeah, 15. I don't know.
So you end up with a little bit nicer weather, but then you're a good month away from maybe when those trees want to, different varieties will bud out at different times, but a good month anyway, depending, and you don't want to be too close to when the trees would want to bud out, because I think it would just disrupt a little bit of their potential fruiting. And then furthermore, whatever pruning you do, you would never want to do more than about a third of the whole tree, which again, not recalling the.
Yeah, they were, I remember when we looked at them last year and were discussing it, they were pretty small. So like all we would need was a step ladder. They clearly had not been pruned in a couple of years because of the funding being cut off. So there are a lot of those spouts, but going in there with loppers, we could, like, they're not thick. We could I think it would be no problem to do it with loppers. We all brought a pair and it would probably be done in no time. And all we would need is maybe a step ladder. A lot of it can be done from the ground, I think. I don't know if that's something we want to add to our list or spend our money doing. I don't know.
I think Zaley's right in that, a few people with some loppers, good sharp loppers would work out pretty well. I've, on my trees here, have used a Sawzall, and that really zips through things, especially if you have some branches because my trees hadn't been done for well over 5 years, and some of the branches I had to take off were well over an inch thick. So certain loppers, you're not going to be able to get the leverage. So you might, just have a combination of both. Once you deal with the main pruning of the tree, then you're really on a maintenance, and that should be much easier thereafter. But you would want to make sure you were sticking to that pretty much yearly, so you didn't kind of get behind.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so in terms of actionable item, what's the plan? What should we do? Should we do something? Do we need to do something now? Should we wait till March?
I'm Googling when to prune apple trees in our zone.
My apple trees are a total mess. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't get tall enough to cut the top off anymore. They've completely escaped me. So I am not going to be an authority here. So I need someone else to decide.
It says,
well, like Helen said, do these
yeah.
apples even help the birds? Is this good? Or do we just want to maintain them for the rec department? So the rec department can have an apple pressing day with a camp group. I don't know what to do.
They say that you can prune an apple tree without hurting it any time of year, but late winter, just before spring, is probably best. So theoretically, we could get away with doing it during our spring thing, probably our spring work day at Sycamore. I don't know if we would want to do it earlier, or I don't know, or like a couple of us go over and get it done, or.
I agree with Zaley in that if your goal is not immediately to have fruit production, you could push it into March. The tree might just, be set back a little bit, but I don't think it's going to hurt it. Those trees have been there for a while. My trees are, I would venture to say, well over 75 years old. Somebody once said to me, you can't, you have to work hard to, really bother a tree that old. These trees look to me, and my understanding is that they're maybe 25 years old or so, but I think they're pretty well established. So I think we should do it when it's hopefully convenient weather-wise and for the number of people that can be involved. I'm willing to take a trip down there, maybe meet with somebody else if they'd like to take a look and sort of figure out what the scope is to get the job done. And then at the next meeting, which would be obviously in the beginning of March, we could schedule a time then. I would say with the snow cover, unless things break really hard, we will probably see snow and that would benefit the trees as far as budding out later this year than typical. And so in the next couple weeks, getting down there and taking a quick look and, because I know a little bit about pruning. I don't do it, extensively. I've had 2 years of experience. And so I think we could take it on initially with a number of people and see how it goes. But then we should be conscious of what our typical annual tasks. If I remember from Eagle Park last year, that might be an annual to spread mulch, the wood chips and things like that. So we should probably have a calendar at some point and think about what are the annual tasks, what are every other year type of tasks and so on, or one-offs and that sort of thing.
That's a great idea for that calendar thing. I'm going to put on the agenda for March.
I think of my maintenance for my mom's home. There's putting out the float on the lake. There's this, there's that. There's closing up, the storm windows in the fall. This is not on that level, but it would be helpful to just kind of have a sense of what are the things that have to happen, even renewal on the membership for the Conservation
that'd be a great
Commission and
idea.
state organization. So it is a historical item too. Kristen's been wonderful in so many capacities with that historical knowledge. I felt I brought that to Malt over the years because I had spent 2 terms with a break in between, and it helps fill in some gaps. So it's one of those things that I think could be a good good piece going forward to have a calendar of sorts.
Yeah. So calendar, great idea. We'll do that in March. What about the Apple idea? Helen, were you trying to chime in on that?
Well, I was saying, John, I'll meet you out there to look at the trees and try to assess what needs to be done and can we do it.
Wonderful.
Good. Let's just email back and forth and try to find a time to do it. And then we could report back to everyone in March.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
Yep.
Okay. Is that good then? Are we good? That's done. Okay. Thank you. Memorial Park Management Plan. Kristen, is there anything going on with this right now?
Yeah, so I finished the edits that we all talked about last meeting, and I just barely finished those and sent them to everyone's email before this meeting. But I'd be happy to just share my screen if you want. My goal would be for everyone, if everyone is in agreement, we would vote to pass this on to the select board after tonight's meeting for their review. And also I assume the planning commission, because they've been asking us about our that's one of our tasks, and we've been.
Yeah, they had been asking me, and now I haven't heard from them in a while. So maybe that's fallen off their radar too. Maybe it's just it may just be on there, and they're not going to ask again. But I just want to be cognizant so that. Yeah. But they stopped asking me, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, at the very least, we should send it to the select board. So, it's in your email boxes. You can view it, or I'm happy to share my screen, whatever is your pleasure.
Did you reply to the agenda?
I did.
Got it.
Just moments before this meeting, like maybe 5:30.
Actually, do you just want to share your screen, Kristen?
Sure, I'm happy to.
That might just be the fastest way.
Yeah, I took a brief look at it. I mean, it's a long document to scan. I will say, Kristen, it's just phenomenal the work that you've done and your background. I think it's a fabulous document to have, and thank you so much for all your efforts. my inclination is to say, let's approve that it gets sent to the board, barring, some edits that occur right now, or, if people at the conclusion of the meeting get a chance to just look it over, maybe just small grammatical type of comments. But, it looked pretty good to me. I mean, better than pretty good. I mean, really wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think probably the biggest change or addition that I made was in just better
With
define.
the red at the very end that you had.
Yeah, better defining like actions by the Conservation Commission. So continue to collaborate with Bristol Rec Department and Bristol Trail Network to secure funding for the trail and the bridge, and the Conservation Reserve Fund could be used as matching. The one thing I left as maybe a red highlight that was considering a kiosk of some kind. We also discussed at the last meeting that some information could be available just with a handout that's available in the village. Folks are looking for places to go. That handout could identify this park and the boundaries and the location, how to get there, that kind of thing. But I could just turn this to black text and let it go as is.
I think it would. I think putting it in black text
because it says consider.
Yeah.
Is good to keep it because it's not definitive. Is that what you were going to say, Helen?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah, you can continue considering. I think it's fine though.
Yeah.
And delete the comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we want to be the final version, right? So that just
they may have edits as well, the select board themselves.
Oh, sure.
And I
is kiosk highlighted?
No, not anymore.
Oh, cool.
And I mentioned that Rec Department will work with the Public Works Department to remove the current concrete bench that is in disrepair and the associated fire ring located at the edge of the parking area. Does that capture what we talked about last time?
Alex says 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm all good with that.
Okay. So, other than that, the only other changes I made were moving things to the appropriate sections. So if folks feel like it's in good enough shape to send to the select board, I'd be happy to arrange for that. I just captured our discussion from the January meeting about hunting is probably not likely.
Yeah.
And left it there for the select board to see.
Okay.
And I suggested that maybe the decomposing outhouse could be a demolition training opportunity for the fire department.
Love it.
I mean, it's timber, right? So I'll let them decide what they want to do with that. And that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Great.
Okay.
One down.
Yeah. Next one I'll tackle is Eagle Park.
Cool. This is awesome. So, okay, in terms of actionable deliverable, you're going to send this to the select board.
Yep.
And the planning commission.
Should I also send it to the planning commission? I can.
I don't know. Maybe? Is it a zoning? I don't really know exactly.
It's not really a zoning.
I think it's a great idea to send it to them just because it shows that we care enough to consider that it might be of interest. They can take it up in a meeting. They can say, oh, well, we received it. Not particularly germane to some of the other things that are maybe of higher priority. But I think it's a goodwill type of action to have cross-committee communication. And we thought that it just might be something we wanted them to be aware of. That's all.
That sounds great. Yeah, and you can even say this was one of our tasks for the plan. Like, we did it.
Exactly. I'll CC everybody when I send it along.
Cool. Thank you. That's great. And then what do you want to do? Do you want to then just, if you have time, could you send us like the Eagle one? Is that what you said was next? And just start up like again? Would that be?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy to do that. Yep.
Just because it's winter and it's like, what else are we going to do? So that seems like
Exactly.
we can't, since we're not out hauling mulch, we might as well be doing this,
Right.
It is a good time of year for that type of activity.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Okay, so that sounds wonderful. Thank you. And then that ties back into our town plan. So this is like a big check mark, which feels good. And then in terms of the town plan, we'll do the Eagle Park next. Cool. And then moving on to tree planting committee, which is Alex now. Is there an update on that? And then I also want to talk about the Johnson stuff as well as like a dovetail to that same conversation.
Cool. Yeah. Only update is after lots of emails getting returned, looking at early March as a initial sort of meeting of the minds to try to put this together. So that would definitely at one point include a more formal present, like once things get a little bit more solidified. So basically me, Valerie, and John Swepston need to figure out like how formal and what direction we want it to go. And then from there start to gather or put out, like ask to people to submit a letter to join from there, and more formal presentation to the Conservation Commission as well. And with the hopes that a committee member would, volunteer to be a liaison on that committee as well. So probably at the very earliest next month will be a more solid update on that.
Cool. That sounds great. I'm glad that's still continuing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just I received an email from Porter that this is more about the Johnson part now, but it's still tree planting. She's kind of parked her fund for that endowment that they're creating for the Bristol Trail Network at the Vermont Community Foundation. I think I forwarded an email to all of you about that. Okay, right. So she was saying that was making a lot, like a bigger return. And if this is an endowment, she wants that return because then it can feed back in and make the principal larger, or they can be taking out more money from the interest. And so I inquired with Ian Albinson on the select board, and he sent me this information about the Andrew Johnson Fund. That's at North Country Credit Union. It's currently in a CD and is, I think, 0.5%, which means then in accordance with the way the money is supposed to be used, that would be at this level of return, $1,800 per year to buy trees with. So the wording from the fund from the January 21, 2019 minutes are: Peter Heffernan moved to invest the money and use the interest only to fund trees, trails, and forest-related projects that evoke the memory of Andrew Johnson every year. Ted Lila seconded, so voted. If 1 year the select board decides not to use the interest and invest it again, then at least talk about it and take the opportunity to remember Andrew Johnson and his generosity. And so Porter had this concern and then had voiced to me, and I said, yeah, that makes sense. If we're going to only use the interest, is there a way? Have they considered trying to get a higher interest with inflation being so high over the last year? You almost are losing money, but 0.5%, right? And so, you are losing money. So I don't know what to do with this exactly. I don't know anything about that Vermont fund per se. I was just thinking maybe we could ask the select board, had they considered doing something with a higher interest rate.
I can jump in.
You thought about that. Yeah.
So I do know that the Middlebury Area Land Trust also has the TAN Trail Endowment Fund through the Vermont Community Foundation. it will earn a higher interest. I'm pretty sure. You have two choices, and I can't remember how to really give you a distinction between the two. But barely 1% through some CD. That's not a good way to operate. As an endowment, the Vermont Community Foundation will be interested in that because it's a good chunk of money. They'll oversee it. The return will be more or less market rate. It's a 3-year running average, and that would spin off, 3 times plus what is going. Was it about $100,000?
Yeah, I
Was
just
the
pasted in the
draft?
chat. What the balance was $103,
Yeah, so I
103,000.
think it started as $100,000 as the initial,
Yeah.
fund amount. So, yeah, I would definitely promote the idea of the Vermont Community Foundation managing the fund, and I would suppose that select board has. And you're saying we receive a portion of that, or we receive how much of that interest?
The trees of Bristol, or what was it? What was the wording? It was the interest here. Picker Heffernan said they should invest the money and use the interest only to fund trees, trails, and forest-related projects. So at this rate, there's only $1,800 available to fund said projects. And I was thinking we could probably do better than that if it's an endowment.
Oh, for sure. I know it.
I'm certain
A CD is a CD. I'm just going to finish the thought. The CD is a certificate of deposit. It's a fixed instrument. It's just not going to do as well as a market-oriented instrument, which is a variable rate. Markets can go down and so on, but maybe there's a different viewpoint on it.
Yeah, I don't question that at all. I just question whether it's within our purview as a conservation commission to really be concerned with this as an issue. I think if Porter raises it to the select board, it's certainly in the select board's purview to consider alternate investment ideas. I also wonder if this is a fund that is owned by the town of Bristol. I wonder if a municipality is constrained by other laws that might not allow it to invest those monies through the Vermont Community Fund. I don't know that to be true, but I just wonder about it.
That's 100% my thought as well. My thought is do you think we should suggest, hey, have you considered we could make more money in interest if you did something different? But I wouldn't be comfortable saying where to put that money. And I don't even know if we should say that or not, right? I just was thinking, should we even show them and be like, hey, did you look at these numbers?
Yeah.
Can we do better? Like that's my only thought is like, can we do better, right?
Well, in effect, we have done that because Ian's a select board member.
There we go. Just by asking for the info, it's on his radar now. There you go. Unofficially, I love it. Helen, did you want to say something?
No.
Oh, I thought you looked like you were trying to speak. I'm sorry. Okay, well, does anyone want to do anything with this or not? I really don't know the best. I don't know.
I personally don't think this commission should make it our business necessarily. And it's a valid point, but if Porter wants to raise it with the select board, she's free to do that. And essentially, we already have raised it with a member of the select board. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's fine. She wanted me to talk to you about it with everyone. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds great. Okay, so we'll leave that for now. If other people agree, yes, we'll just leave it.
I would add to Kristen's point. I mean, it'd be interesting to understand how that was chosen to be a CD to begin with, and then if Porter's going to take it up, then that's all that needs to happen. If it is not taken up, I do think that maybe we have a say in it because we are potentially recipients of some of the money. And if the money could earn a better interest rate, then I think that behooves us to be able to do more for the benefit of the town. So why wouldn't we want to do that?
And just for a point of just fact, Porter asked Valerie and Ian about this in October and hasn't heard back. So that's why she asked me.
Okay. Well, that's a reasonable amount of time in committee worlds.
Okay, well, then what am I hearing? It looks like Kristen wants to drop it. Jana wants to maybe continue the conversation.
No,
Anyone else?
I'm agreeing to let it go. What I'm
Okay.
saying though is that if it comes to light that it stays as a CD, no one has taken it up with the select board because it sounds like Porter may be doing that, then I think I would like to revisit it, because if we are potentially the ones that would be receiving these funds, don't you think it would be better if the money might be able to earn more because we can do more and that's for the benefit of the town? That would be my argument.
Well, it looks like this is going to mature in September of 23. So we can table it for now and bring it up closer to that maturity date anyway. Does that sound good?
That sounds great to me.
Okay. I will remember to put that on the agenda in 2 years. So that's not going to happen, but we'll try to remember it. Okay.
There's the calendar coming into play.
There we go. Oh God. There we go. We should put that on the calendar. I love it. Okay. Let's move on then. Floodplain zoning, and we have 11 minutes to our ideal timeline. I know we may go over. We had an unexpected group of visitors today, so we'll just do our best. So floodplain zoning updates, talking to the planning commission, I think, right? Anyone? Kristen, right?
Yeah, I think we can remove this from the agenda. I don't have any item to discuss under this.
Did we want to have a meeting though with the planning commission about like enforcing floodplain or not? Did you decide against it?
We could. If someone wants to initiate that, yeah. This came about. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it. It came about because of one instance that I responded to as a citizen, not as a Conservation Commission member. And then I said that it might behoove us to have a conversation or a future meeting with the Planning Commission regarding these issues more generally. And I've reached out a couple of times and I've not heard. So I don't really have a whole lot of time to be organizing
I see.
big
I didn't
meeting
realize
on
you
this topic.
tried to reach out.
Back before the holidays, so it was in the holiday rush. So.
Got it. Okay, well, we can remove that if that's not something that we want to be dealing with right now. That's fine. ARPA committee, did that start yet?
No, we meet for the first time in early March.
Oh, okay, cool. But there is a committee now. That's exciting. It's happening.
Committee. Yep.
Great. Green Up Day 2022. So I'm starting that. We're so far planning on doing it much like we had the last few years, where it's pretty hands-free drop-offs with the bags. Rec department is going to help us with some, and Holly Hall. We've got Marita and Coco are going to help us at the library. And yeah, if it gets, less COVID and people are feeling good, or someone wants to volunteer to hand out bags, we could do that. But we just don't know what's happening right now, right? So we're just going to sort of play it by ear. The official things have all been set up as though it's sort of a hands-free, and we figured we could always do something on Front Porch Forum if we want to announce, oh, hooray, we can do a little more in-person handoff like we used to do. We'll just sort of, I think, play it by ear for that one.
Question: as somebody new, what exactly is the Green Up Day?
Yeah, absolutely. So Green Up Day is a not-for-profit group that works with the state of Vermont and some other states too, it sounds like. And they do like a big cleanup. So it's, I think, 52 years now they've been doing this. And so we help pass out these green bags, and then everyone in town is invited to pick up roadside litter, put it in those green bags, and then leave it on the side of any public road on the weekend of Green Up Day, which is going to be May 7th, 22 this year. And so, and then Monday morning, really early, the road crew is going to come out and pick up visible bags on public roadways on the shoulders. And then they like haul them all down to the transfer station in Middlebury. Those green bags are exempt from recycling laws and actually have like a different waste stream. The green bag indicates that Green Update pays for them to be disposed of. So it's important everything only goes in the green bags. And then they're all disposed of for free. The towns don't have to like carry that cost. If bags get skipped or scattered, then it gets tricky and I get angry emails. But mostly it's a good thing. We've picked up a couple tons of garbage every year for the last several years. The Bristol Elementary School students help out. The various, Red Cedar School, sometimes the high school students get involved too. And so it's really nice. And I think it's just really nice for the community when you just get a lot of trash out and tires too, which is sad, but a lot of tires. So yeah, it's just like a big volunteerism community event.
And they just clean up, you just clean up anywhere in the town. It's not like a
any
specific
roadside
area.
litter. Any roadside litter technically, but people have done like the Bristol Trail Network trails. People do the parking lots at Shaw's, like on Prince Lane kind of parking area and stuff in there. You're not supposed to do like your backyard. Like if you have like a bunch of garbage around your house, you're not supposed to clean that up. But yeah, anything that's like a public space.
Okay.
And Nancy, when pre-COVID, when we would pick up the bags, usually on the green in Bristol, there would be someone there with sort of a sign-up sheet, and you would say, where are you going to pick up? So that they would try to spread the labor across.
Okay.
So you could claim, I'm going to do Lower Notch Road between X and Y. And it didn't really matter because you can see where there's trash and you can see where there's green bags. And the goal is to get as much trash into the green bag, so people do that kind of distribution all by themselves. But
Okay.
it's a pretty cool thing to the next day or late that day to see all of those green bags. I mean, it's disgusting because that was all trash on the side of the road, but it's no longer there for a short period of time.
Sometimes we'll get like the anglers clubs and things will pull all this trash out of the river. You'll get like a Boy Scout troop that says like, we're doing Eagle Park or, Girl Scouts at Sycamore or whatever. It's just nice, just a big kind of event.
Okay.
So I used to just run Green Update as a member of the Conservation Commission, and then I found out that I've been like assigned as like a job for like I got like appointed, and I'm like, what? so yeah, but I would if you wanted to help out with that, I'd love that. Would be great. Anyhow, so it's happening. It's early days still, just ordering some prizes for the elementary school and that kind of thing. Just slow start. They don't even know if they're going to be able to get gloves or anything this year. They really just don't even know. So we're just going to roll with it and see what happens, which is what we've been doing for 2 years now, right? Okay, so floodplain zoning or any Green Update? Any other Green Update thoughts? Okay, great. Conservation Reserve Fund. I thought it'd be a nice chance to talk about what that is for new members. And then when I was emailing Ian about the Johnson bequest, I also got these numbers about the Conservation Reserve Fund as well, which is does not get much interest at all because it's not even in a CD. But that's where we're at right now with the Conservation Reserve Fund. For those of you that are new or maybe would like a refresher, the Conservation Reserve Fund has a really nice PDF we wrote up a few years ago. It's called, if you go on the Bristol, the BCC website, a web page, at the bottom, there's a bunch of links, and there's one to the Conservation Reserve Fund information. And so that is a PDF we wrote up that helps explain what is this fund? How is it used? And I could say that, Kristen, do you just want to say what that is real quick? Would that be? Oh, you're muted if you're talking. I think you're talking.
The fund itself?
Yeah, like what is it? I mean, I feel like you do the most interacting with it.
So the Conservation Reserve Fund was established several years ago now. The details are in the write-up that I prepared that's on the website. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't refresh my memory at this point, but this was an effort that was spearheaded by the Conservation Commission several years back to set up a fund that could be used to support conservation efforts in the town. And we receive a $10,000 line item usually, most years, in the general budget. And it has been used for a number of different projects, including supporting local match to conservation projects on farmlands, for example, through Vermont Land Trust or Vermont River Conservancy. It's also been used to make repairs, for example, to flood damaged properties at Eagle Park, and a variety of other education outreach type activities. And those are also detailed on the PDF that's available on the website.
And I think one of my favorite calculations was we figured out that for every dollar spent by the Conservation Reserve Fund, we were able to leverage $11, which is
that was specifically
really
for 2 conservation properties on
right.
the northern gateway to Bristol that were conserved through the Vermont Land Trust.
Yeah, and so they've been a really good ally with those projects as well. I just wanted to know, just because we're doing budget season right now, this is the first budget season. I think that in maybe 5 years of being on the Conservation Commission, that I remember not having to justify what the Conservation Reserve Fund is. So I do think this having this information publicly available was really helpful, that people understand what that fund is for and have those conversations with the select board over the years. I feel like in a good place now that they didn't they funded that this year for us for the town for that 10,000. So it's really great. Part of wanting to have that money available is because when a property is up to be sold or is available, we want to be able to use that money right then and not have to have a bond or something, right? So it's really great to have this sort of reserve fund, and it's been working as intended and has been a really good asset. So I thought Nancy probably didn't know what that was. I wasn't sure about, so there, Alex, how much you've talked about this or not, or Helen. So I just want to make sure you all saw some of the numbers and we talked a little bit about that. Do you have any questions? And we don't usually spend this, this is something that we would ask the select board and say, hi, select board, we think you should spend this fund on this. We don't directly control it, but we're sort of advisors to how this gets spent.
Can the select board decide to spend it without consulting with us?
It would be their right to do so, but they haven't historically ever done that without consulting the Conservation Commission. In terms of pending new projects, probably the universal fishing platform repairs at Eagle Park will be the next likely request for expenditure from the Conservation Reserve Fund.
And I have no idea what that $224 expenditure was. That's such a random amount. I don't know what that is. I feel it's usually larger chunks. Great. And then this is in accordance with the town plan, that under the purview of the Conservation Commission, to evaluate opportunities to conserve lands with high natural resource value, especially those adjacent to town owned or already conserved properties, through purchase in fee, simple or funding of conservation easements. So this is part of our town plan sort of directive as well, as to help find those properties and conserve them where possible. Other questions? Nancy, does that close? Does it make sense?
Yes. Yeah. And I'll go look that up, the PDF, and read.
Yeah, I thought it might be helpful. We haven't been dealing with that recently, but certainly every so often something comes up and it's all we talk about. So to prepare for whatever that day comes, you never know when something's gonna come up as a topic. So Cool. Any other thoughts about anything? Events. The next event, I think, would be a work day in early spring. So we don't have any current events. And then our next meeting, March 10th, at 6 o'clock. Other thoughts?
What was the amount that the commission has for expenditures sort of for membership in the state organizations, all that was about $300?
300, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think 50 of that goes to the Conservation Commission, Vermont Conservation Commission, something.
Vermont Association of Conservation.
Thank you. So
Okay.
yeah, so we have about 250 to do something small with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which last year we used for the pollinator garden,
Right.
because we kind of forgot to use it earlier in the year, and that's
A
like a
small
worthy
amount, but
cause
we
in the nick of
certainly-
time.
It's a small amount, but we certainly want to expend it each and every year. Otherwise, they're likely to say, well, you didn't seem to need it last year, so we're going to give you less or so on.
Yes, I was directly told that we have to spend it or they will stop giving it to us. So we really need to spend that.
Great.
By
It's such a
when,
weird small amount. It's like, how do you spend it, right? So
what is
tricky.
the due date for spending it?
The fiscal year. So all receipts have to be by June 30th.
So we should talk about how we want to spend that. So we don't
Mhm.
spend it on June 30th.
Yep. We spent it on, June 25th last year.
So maybe put that on the agenda for the next month or two.
Sounds great.
Put it on the calendar.
Perfect. And I'll find out when those dues are due. And we can pay them or figure that out as well. Cool. Okay. Well, is that everything then? Do someone want to make a motion to adjourn? Or does someone have anything else you want to talk about? She's made a motion.
All set.
All right. All those in favor of adjournment? The
Aye.
meeting is adjourned. 7:36.